Americans are frustrated with the government as it gets more polarized, the political system in this country, than ever before. New measures of that. Congressional approval rating from Gallup, 9%, the lowest score ever done by Gallup on congressional approval. Also an increase in people who say a third party is needed. That is now up to 60%, the highest score ever recorded by Gallup. And polarization being measured by a formula called a net rating. But suffice it to say, the net rating of President Obama from Republicans is minus 72. That's bad. The net rating of President Bush from Democrats, minus 51. That is the most lopsided score we've ever seen. So, Rich, basically, you see a lot of people frustrated with the system. You see Democrats increasingly frustrated with Republicans, Republicans increasingly frustrated with Democrats. How do you resolve the frustration that has so many voters peeved?
We got more numbers, but I won't bore everybody with all the data. But, Jeannie, it seems like more than ever the public is open to the premise of a third party, or at least a candidate coming from outside of Democrat and Republican circles. We've seen this ebb and flow at different levels of dissatisfaction in the country. You think this time somebody, forget a attached name, but somebody with like Bloomberg bankroll or something, they could fund it to take the money out of it? So they got. Is that electable today?
Probably not electable, but what will happen is what always happens in the American system. You'll have a third party come up and they will be eaten eventually by an umbrella party, the Republicans or the Democrats, or whatever they transform into, one of those two major parties. Our system is not built for more than two parties, so a third party that comes is usually swallowed up. But absolutely, a third party can come with an issue such as, you know, the inability to govern and
but why couldn't somebody take on the
Our
most
rules don't
relevant thing, which is just, my gosh, I mean, I remember Anderson when he ran as the third party, Perot more recently. Somebody says, I have had it with Washington. Tap into the public ire here in terms of a pox on both their houses. I've had it with Washington. I am truly the outsider, so outsider enough that I won't be one of the two major parties. I'm going to bring in people from both camps into it, but at the end of the day, I'm beholden to neither. That wouldn't be something that could resonate, assuming he's competent?
The rules make it very, very difficult. Not only that, if they get into the position of governing, how do you govern without an affiliation with one of the parties? We are built for two parties. You have to change the rules to make that viable.
But they won't even get to the point of governing because they, no matter what, it's a noble idea. Americans support it. You cannot get on the ballot in every state.
That's the problem. Before, though.
It's
happened got on the ballot.
Yeah, but that was almost a once in a lifetime fit. Bloomberg looked at this and was willing to put his money with the Kevin Sheekys of the world to make it happen. And at the end of the day, decided it wasn't feasible and backed off.
Historically, when we've had the rise of third parties, like with the Whigs taking over the Federalist Party or Republicans usurping the Whigs, it's been two things happening at once. The rise of that third party at the same time that the original party just absolutely craters. So, I mean, you could maybe argue that
Andrew,
the Republican Party...
To Dominic's point, once in a lifetime, 9%?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the approval. I mean, they can't get any lower. They must have family that support them. I mean...
But before we get to a third party, maybe we should see if the retention rate for our members of Congress goes below 90% at any point, which it never does.
Never does.
It's always like 95% of Congress people get reelected every single time that they go out.
Well, it's because what just happened in the last 60 days happens. That when you look at, oh my gosh, they're going to be driven out here in a wave election, Republicans, because of the shutdown and everything else. Then the other one screws up and can't get a website to work. So then it's like both of them, you know, do I have a better alternative?
People don't like Congress, but they like their congressmen.
They don't, though, anymore.
No,
for the
they
first
still
time, no,
do.
for the
They
first
still do.
time since this poll was taken, more than 50% wanted someone other than their personal incumbent. You guys are probably all right. I'm only saying, if not now, when?
What's most likely to happen in 2016 is we're going to have outsiders running for president, and meaning an outsider, somebody who is not in Washington right now. So you'll have a governor or somebody else outside Washington. Did you see what the Republicans said
over the weekend? Scott Walker and a bunch of others are saying, listen, you know, Rand Paul is a buddy of mine. You got Paul Ryan who's a buddy of mine, but you need to be a governor.
Yeah, I'd run his fan club, but I'm not.
But the amount of people that say you need a governor, somebody who actually ran something.
But that is more.
Hillary Clinton is an outsider because she's not in Washington right now.
But that's the joke of this all. Scott Walker is not an outsider either, but that is what they're going to do. It's going to be a party member who claims to be an outsider, and that's what we're going to get. Hillary Clinton's not an outsider. Scott Walker's not an outsider. Bobby Jindal's not an outsider. Neither is Chris Christie.
You don't think a Colin Powell type or somebody else, and maybe he's not the right one, couldn't just say, I don't want to be a member of either one of these parties. They get on the ballot. There's enough of a drive. Think about it. If Obama wanted to run, not as a Democrat, he would have gotten all 50 ballots. Now, he's a Democrat, not just in spirit, but in name also. I mean, come on. But if you truly got somebody from the outside that kind of fit that spec, they could get on the ballots. Don't you think the public, would you have ever said we would have had a black president or a female president? Don't you think they're ready for a third party president?
Look at
Is it
turnout
that
itself,
inconceivable?
Richard. Look at turnout itself. It is so low. Who turns out? Party members, active party members, independently minded people turn out a little bit, but not to that extent. So, as Dominic mentioned, I think it is a real difficult
All right.
problem.
Note
Richard-
to self, don't bring up this topic again. Everyone
Richard,
yells at you.
but I will give you this one. You are right to the degree that even as Obama was running, I was swearing to everyone privately that he had no chance in hell of winning. No chance.
Yep.
I turned out to be wrong. So you never know.
Are you saying Richard's right?
Richard, I'm saying
Richard's
he
president.
may
Richard's
be
the
right.
No, don't do that to me. I thought you liked me. All right. Jeannie, Dominic, Andrew, have a very nice evening. You at home, though, stay with me. When we come back, fascinating conversation. There's an approach to guns, not political here, but treating it as a healthcare crisis. You're going to want to hear what our next guest has to say after this.